A very good evening and welcome to the State of Scottish Football. It's Tuesday evening and I'm David Smith, and on my right hand side, reunited once again because I was obviously absent last Thursday. It's the one and only Mr. Regan Stevenson. Regan, sorry, how are we doing this Tuesday evening?
David, I'm doing well. Thank you for having me on again.
Absolutely. First and foremost, we need to go into what's signalled out at the bottom there. Stephen Gerrard's obviously linked with the Aston Villa job after obviously Dean Smith got relieved of his duties at the weekend. First and foremost, I look at this and say it'd be a good appointment for Villa if they go and bring in Gerrard, but do you think Gerrard would be keen to go to Birmingham and take on the Villa job?
I don't know if we would be totally sold on the idea, because of the position that Aston Villa are in. But as you know, David, the English Premier League's got a lot of money down there. So yeah, I think it could be a possibility, especially that the director of football for Aston Villa is the guy that Steven Gerrard knew from his playing days at Anfield as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, these contacts help massively. Do you think Gerrard still has a lot to achieve at Rangers, or do you think he's took the club as far as he can? Because I look at it by saying he's only won one trophy at the club. He'll be looking for more. Would you look at this and say England's a bit too soon for Gerrard?
I don't know if it's too soon. I've just said because of his name, Steven Gerrard. Probably they're going to try and bring him into the club. But I would say from Gerrard's point of view, as you say, he's only had one trophy in nine, so it's not very good from Rangers' point of view because he'll be looking to get a Scottish Cup or even a Betfred Cup when they head to Hampden in 2 weeks' time.
Indeed. Now, just before I continue, we've got some good evening messages. Well, in fact, good afternoon from Northampton. So, a very good afternoon or evening,
How
either
you
or.
doing?
But hope you're well, Matty. And indeed, our very own Colin Watty. Colin Watt saying, "Evening, folks."
Hi
Colin, thanks
Colin, how
for the
you doing?
recommendations earlier on the group chat. It definitely livened up thanks to your very good work. So, thank you very much for that. As for Gerrard, that league title was a good league title for Gerrard to go and win. But I also look at this by saying Celtic didn't provide a lot of healthy competition last year for Rangers, and it was won at a canton end, which kind of shows the job that's been done by Gerrard, where he's came up close on numerous occasions, but then last season he won the league at a canton without any real competition.
Uh, David, I think the thing was that it was 25 points and it was also played with no fans in the stadium. I think it'll be different this season. I mean, Rangers were unbeatable at, at, at home last season, but I think they've already dropped points uh, from Aberdeen and Motherwell as well. So I think it's going to be very difficult, and I think the league title will go to the very last game of the season. I think.
I think we'd all love a helicopter Sunday, but although helicopter Sundays aren't exactly welcome by Celtic fans, are they?
No, Scott McDonald still lives in memory.
And then, of course, went to Celtic afterwards. So that was one thing for sure. But I look at this by saying, as much as Gerrard could be a good appointment for Villa, I think there's better managers that are being linked with the position at Villa Park.
Yeah, I mean, I would look at someone like is it Hassan at Southampton? I think he's done
Yeah,
fantastic down there.
Martinez as well. That's Belgian manager.
Yeah, the only problem I would say with Roberto Martinez, I don't think he would go from being at the world's best international team to Aston Villa. The other thing that I don't think people have mentioned is that Roberto Martinez's assistant is Sean Maloney, who was at Villa for a number of years
Yeah,
as
yeah.
well.
And that could be one fantastic permutation. I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure if that was to come off for Villa, I think Villa fans would be delighted with that news. But with regards to Rangers, I still feel that Gerrard's still got a long way to go with this. He was looking for the Newcastle job. Newcastle didn't go ahead with it. Obviously, they wanted a certain Mr. Eddie Howe who, um, who turned down Celtic for reasons we all know, unfortunately. But also, this is a big season for Rangers because if Rangers don't win the league title, I think the pressure mounts on Gerrard yet again.
yeah, especially because there's a £40 million at stake in Rangers' financial. Uh, the statement was out last week, so Rangers aren't in a good way either. I know that people like Barry Ferguson was saying that if Rangers win the league, then they can clear all the debt. But it's not as simple as saying that because Celtic have got a very good team, and also you don't know what's going to what could possibly happen either.
Yeah, absolutely. And one man that might take the Villa job, and this is tongue in cheek, by the way. Lanky 67, Eddie Howe will go to Villa. By the way, just to clarify, folks, this is tongue in cheek, but very good comment all the same, Lanky. So I thought I'd get that out there just because you're a good member of indeed the state of mind and indeed the state of Scottish football. But with Rangers, this will be an even fiercer competition, and I've seen it for myself at the weekend. Regan, we'll get on to Celtic later in the show. I think Celtic are a far better superior team than Rangers at the minute. And people might disagree when I say this, but having watched both Celtic and Rangers, I think Celtic's the better side just now.
Yeah, I mean, I watched Celtic on Sunday as well, David, and I thought they were very, very impressive. I'm impressed with the front three of Kyogo, Abada, and Jota. I think they three are a class above. But in terms of Rangers, they have conceded 2 goals at home again. It's not a very good sign for Steven Gerrard as well.
Of course, the big thing for Gerrard is obviously getting some silverware and making sure that big hoose stays open, as they call it.
Yeah, because I think it's important. I've just touched on that Rangers made a statement last week about their financial position, but I think it's very important that Rangers do well in these competitions so they can back the manager as well.
But then I look at this. Villa have very similar expectations to Rangers in terms of Rangers will want to win trophies, whilst Villa will want to avoid relegation, but they'll want to do very well in the Premier League. And if you don't do well in the Premier League, they'll want your boss out like they did with Dean Smith at the weekend there. And I look at this by saying Gerrard hasn't really added players in the right positions. Striker-wise, he's light in depth. Midfield-wise, that's his strongest position. No arguments about that. Defensively, could be improved. Goalkeeping, brilliant in terms of goalkeeping. But I look at the Villa and say they're a very similar squad at this precise moment in time to Rangers because excluding the midfield area, it's a Villa squad that's very light.
The only thing I would say, David, is you'll have a big pot of money down there because the owners down there spent 300 million in the last couple of transfer windows. So I don't think money will be a problem.
Absolutely. On to Zander Clark now. He's obviously been linked with the job. Linked with coming into Rangers. A fantastic goalkeeper, and a goalkeeper that Rangers should be bringing in if Al McGregor indeed does go and retire at the end of the season.
Yeah, I mean he's just showed his quality, especially that the football game last weekend at Dundee United. I know the game that you were at, David. I think he played absolutely fantastic in that game.
Of course, we all remember that head in the Scottish Cup quarter-final last season.
Yeah, I mean he's just, and I think he's a big Rangers fan too, so it'll be a fairy tale ending for him.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Our resident host Colin Watt has made a very good point here. Gerrard has already came out and said the budget is frustrating him. There's a lot of players out of contract in the next 18 months. Could be a big rebuild required there. Do you agree with Mr. Watt there?
I do, because if you look at Gerrard, he's already come out and said that he's frustrated, as Colin said, and he'll see that Aston Villa are willing to throw money at this and go, well, I've got one club that's not willing to throw money and one club that is, so where do I go here? And the obvious choice is Villa.
From a Celtic persuasion, Paul McLean comes in here saying Celtic are a better team right now and we won the league. Rangers will bottle it, drawing too many games at home and they still play like the Hearts, Hibs, Aberdeen, Celtic away. And that's the thing. You get Rangers indeed, like Paul says there, have a lot of tough away games.
Yeah, I think it's going to be difficult for Rangers. The only thing that they can say is they've got a 4-point lead and they're doing very well right now. So, but as you said, they've still got to go to a very good, difficult places in Edinburgh and Dundee as well. So it's going to be very interesting.
From a St Johnstone point of view, Regan, back up to Zander Clark. Do you think they should be pushing Zander Clark very hard to make sure he's not going to a fellow Scottish club, or do you think St Johnstone won't try and push things in certain corners?
No, I don't think they'll try they'll try and push things because obviously Zander Clark, he grew up in the St Johnstone Academy, so I think they'll be respectful of him. Like I said, then he's a Rangers fan as well, so I think it'll be his dream come true. I don't think they'll stand in his way if Rangers come calling.
You've obviously got Joe Hart and the Celtic goals, but would you like Zander Clark at Celtic if the opportunity pursued?
Yeah, I mean, I think Zander Clark's showed his quality, and he's obviously away with Scotland as well. So obviously he's challenging there as well. I think he's a very very good goalkeeper. But the obvious one for Celtic would be David Marshall as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing, there's a lot of good goalkeepers that will be available. Craig Gordon's at a contract end of the season at Hearts, David Marshall and Zander Clark. A lot of fantastic goalkeepers that could be available for a Bosman at the end of the season.
Yeah, I mean, it just shows you the strength and depth we've got in Scotland as well, because we've got so many good goalkeepers. And I think that's a credit to Scotland and what we've done over the past couple of years.
Absolutely. With regards to Zander Clark, he probably showed the Scotland instance in terms of getting called up a week past Saturday at Tannadice for 1-0 win for St Johnstone over Dundee United, and he was phenomenal that day.
Yeah, I mean, he was absolutely brilliant. I watched the sports scene highlights, and he was just superb every save. I think Dundee United should have won that game, but he saved them from not winning. He was absolutely superb, David, like I said.
Zander Clark has went through a great development stage, and going to one of the big Glasgow 2 would just be a step in the right direction. He's progressing very well.
Yeah, I mean, I think it just shows that someone from St Johnstone can go to Celtic Rangers, and I hope he does very well. I mean, I hope that he can go there and do well and show that he can be the number one for Rangers for many, many years.
And it's not just for Rangers. I look at this by saying he's the potential next Scotland number one in 3 or 4 years' time, or even as soon as 1 or 2 years.
Yeah, because if you look at it, Craig Gordon's, he's coming to the end of his career. David Marshall's coming to the end of his career, and John McLaughlin's not really got a sniff so far. So I tend to agree with you there, David.
By the way, just to clarify, guys or girls, whatever, that we are struggling to get on Twitch and Twitter at this precise moment in time, but we are indeed live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So if you're listening in, thank you very much, and keep the questions coming in. For Rangers, as much as McLaughlin and McGregor have done well between the sticks for Rangers, they probably need a settled number one now.
Yeah, David, I totally agree with that. I spoke on the show last week that it's not going to help the Rangers squad if they keep chopping and changing their back four and their goalkeeper.
Mm-hmm, yeah, and that's the thing. Gerrard's changed the system a lot. Do you think that's unsettled the team, or do you think he's trying different things and it's maybe not paying to their paying their all, which obviously helps in terms of getting wins on a Saturday?
Yeah, David, I think it has definitely unsettled the team because if you look at it, last season they weren't letting as many goals in, and I think that's definitely not helped them at all.
Yeah, absolutely. So for Rangers, this would be a terrific signing, but also the goalkeeping department should be the only worry, as far as I'm concerned. Where do you feel Rangers have to go and sign players? What positions?
I would see another striker and maybe another centre back, David.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. 14 minutes in, we're off to a great start with Regan. Next up, we're going to go to the Scotland camp, and a lot of injuries in the last month or so. We've obviously no Hanley, he's out injured. Dykes and Christie are suspended for Friday evening's game. And in the last game against the Faroes, Regan, Scotland played a 3-4-1-2 formation. The team that night was Gordon, Hanley, Henry, Tierney, Fraser, McTominay, Gilmore, Robertson, Christie, and Dykes. The big question is, with John Souttar coming in, does John Souttar come in? Does Scott McKenna come in? Or does Liam Cooper come in to replace Grant Hanley, do you feel?
Yeah, I think John Souttar would definitely nearly take Grant Hanley's place, David.
Mm-hmm. Would you stick with 3 at the back for Scotland on Friday night?
Yeah, I would, because I would play Tierney, McTominay. Um, the question I was going to say to you, David, is do you think he'll go with O'Donnell or he'll play Patterson? Uh,
You're ahead of the game, young man. 'Cause that's going to be the next question. But I think he'll start Patterson on Friday. If I'm going to be honest with you again, yeah.
yeah, because obviously he played O'Donnell in the the Faroe Islands game, and it didn't really work out. And then obviously Patterson came on and provided the assist.
Yeah, definitely. Who would your two strikers be on Friday night?
I'm hoping he'll play Ryan Christie and Che Adams, but I think he'll go with Jacob Brown and Che Adams.
Mm-hmm. As of Jacob Brown, he's done very well in terms of scoring goals, and he scored another one at the weekend there for Stoke. And he's going to be an unknown quantity to opposition players. So I think it's maybe the right call for him, for Clark, to maybe go and start Brown on Friday.
Yeah, I mean he's. I think he's got 4 goals and 4 assists this season. I think it just shows what he's doing. And thank you to his mum being born in is it Springburn. So yeah, I think it's great that we're managing to go into the contacts, and hopefully it turns out to be a very good Scotland striker.
Now, I look at Moldova and say there's chances here. When Moldova played Israel, they played a 3-5-2. When they played Denmark, it was a 4-5-1. And when they played the Faroe Islands, it was a 3-4-3. So it shows they're expansive at the back, but also they're pretty compact in the middle of the park as well.
Yeah, I mean I don't think it'll be an easy game. I think Scotland will need to work hard for the victory, but I think we will definitely get it.
And I mean, Friday night will carry a lot of pressure on Scotland, and it's about being professional on Friday evening.
Yeah, I think this is a typical game that Scotland wouldn't do well in with the pressure on. But I think with Steve Clarke's mentality that he's brought to the players, I think this is a game we'll definitely do well in. David.
On the O'Donnell and Patterson debate, I'm going to throw in a curveball here. I think Anthony Ralston's the best right back in Scottish football right now. You agree?
Yeah, I mean, I listened to you on the show last night. I tend to agree with you that I think Tony Ralston will be very disappointed not to be in to be in the squad. Definitely.
And a comment comes in here from Matt Gunner saying O'Donnell should be nowhere near. Scotland squad would have Ralston over him every day this year. And that's the thing. As much as Ralston's played well in the last few games, I think Clark has went for a tried and trusted approach rather than taking a player that might not unsettle the system or unsettle the team. But he's going for a tried and trusted approach with limited amount of time remaining in this group.
Yeah, I mean, I don't agree with him saying that he should be nowhere near it, because Stephen O'Donnell has been in a Scotland squad that went to Wembley and drew 0-0. He's been to Austria. He's been to Serbia, so he's done very well in a Scotland shirt.
The thing about that area is I think we need a forward thinking player for these next 2 games. I mean, Denmark could be a little bit more understandable because they obviously carry a lot of threat with them. But with Moldova, that's got the potential to just drive forward and try and get some goals early doors and kill the game off.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the perfect opportunity for Scotland to do well in, and I hope on Friday we just go all out attack, get an early goal, and settle the nerves and do well.
Yeah, definitely. As for Tierney, he probably will start on Friday, but he's been out for the last 4 Arsenal games. I think it just goes to show that he's keen to get involved in the Scotland setup yet again, especially after being injured or indeed unavailable in the last 4 games.
Yeah, I mean, I think he showed in his interview with Sky a few weeks ago. He said that there's a family feel to the Scotland squad, and I think that just shows, because in the past with Alex McLeish and maybe Strachan, the players didn't show up. I think this just shows that Steve Clarke's got this mentality that even if you're injured, then you're still going to be there. Look at Stuart Armstrong. Stuart Armstrong he was injured in the last camp, but he still turned up. Steve Clarke still wanted him to be there.
What is on fire tonight? Where He's came in here saying we'll go back to an old Scotland approach of playing players who haven't been playing for a club side. Austin should be in the squad at the very least. What about Gilmore not playing in weeks? I agree with Colin there, Regan.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with Colin, but what I would say on Billy is that Billy is an outstanding player, so you can't leave him out the squad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. As for the current system, obviously there's going to be a few changes on Friday night, but would you keep the same philosophy and system that we've been playing beforehand?
Yeah, I would keep it because the players know it well and they're obviously doing really well. So yeah, I'm happy with the way Steve Clark and the boys are going about it.
And the thing is, we wouldn't take the back there. Zander Clark in the Scotland squad just shows the quality of goalkeepers that we have available.
Yeah, I mean, I think it just shows the strength and depth that we have as a national team, and even if one player gets injured, then one player can come in and replace him. You know, from a Scotland point of view, that it can definitely do very well.
By the way, Regan, I'm going to go and spice things up here. We're going to go into Anthony and Austin later on the show, but did you enjoy that challenge in Charlie Adam on Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting because I see a lot of Celtic fans taking joy from it as well. Yeah, so I think Tony Ralston just showed like what a great player he is, and obviously Charlie Adam wanted to do his bit because he played with Rangers as well. Yeah, so I like a bit of spice in a game, David.
Anthony Austin this season starts for you, Regan. We'll get on to the big man later on the show, so I'll try not to go too detailed just yet. But 4 goals, 4 assists, and 9 clean sheets. What a turnaround from Anthony Austin.
Yeah, and I know Amy Canavan, who's on the show. She spoke about Ralston last year on a Celtic State of Mind. She spoke about how he was going to be an important player for Celtic during the Dubai situation. So she deserves credit there. But in terms of Ralston, I think it's very impressive the way he's turned into a very, very important player, because I don't think people expected that, David.
What about Stuart Armstrong? I'd like to see Armstrong get a start in this doubleheader. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I do agree with that, but I don't know if Armstrong is a player that tracks back, maybe. But I don't know if he'll need to do it against Moldova. So yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I think Armstrong, he deserves to be there because he's turned up for every camp. So I would like to see him get a chance, David. Definitely.
And just to clarify, viewers, the Armstrong that did indeed play in that Friday night instalment game against Aston Villa. So he's not one of those that will just come to a Scotland side having not played any games of football. Brian Warrior, yeah, he played for Southampton against Villa. He had been struggling for a bit of game time, if I'm going to be honest with you, but he play against Watford? He didn't. No, he didn't play against Watford, but he played against Villa. So he's not exactly a player that will play consistently. But would you have a problem with that, Regan?
No, I wouldn't. But the only problem with Stuart Armstrong is I've still got memories of him losing that ball against England, and then Harry Kane scores that goal, David.
Yeah, that was everybody's nightmare. I hope Stuart Armstrong gets a few sleepless nights thinking about that.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely gave me sleepless nights with David.
On Billy Gilmore, there's possible talk about Frank Lampard taking the Norwich job. I think it would rejuvenate Billy Gilmore at Norwich City.
Yeah, I mean, just look at it. Frank Lampard was the manager that gave Billy Gilmore a chance. So, yeah, I think it's a good idea.
Because, I mean, Billy Gilmore had a rift with Daniel Farke. Farke's obviously away from Norwich now, and we all know the player that Gilmore is. And as much as Gilmore hasn't been playing in a wee while, it's understandable reasons behind it.
Yeah, but you just look at it. A player that's in the Scotland squad is getting picked over Billy Gilmore as well. So it's a very difficult one for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. As for Friday, Moldova, they're a sign not to be underestimated.
No, I think they've done very well in this campaign. It's a game Scotland will be not taking lightly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we've had a lot of big moments, a lot of lows as well, obviously. But a year ago on Friday, I think, is when we qualified for the Euros. So here's hoping we can replicate that night in Belgrade.
Yeah, I mean, it would be great. I'm very much looking forward to it, and I hope Steve Clark and the boys are right up for it.
Beat Moldova on Friday, Regan, and Scotland will finish second in a World Cup qualifying campaign for the first time since 1998. How
Yeah, I
we've
think
turned a corner! How we've turned a corner in 23 years.
I think it's a very good omen, and I hope that Steve Clark and the boys can get us to the World Cup, David. So,
When Scotland qualified for Euro 2020, a narrative took hold that we'd qualify through the back door. That narrative wasn't strictly unfair, I think. Topping a Nations League group via Israel and Albania wasn't the highest bar to reach a playoff, but that was to be done. And here's hoping this is the start of something very exciting come Friday evening moving forward.
yeah, I think it's a very exciting time to be part of the national team and to be watching them because we've got some very, very good players on the show. So, yeah, I think there's a lot to be excited about in terms of Scotland, David.
I'm going to go back at the Rangers very briefly here. One thing I forgot to mention to you, and it's one possible scare for Rangers. If Gerrard indeed does go to Aston Villa, that probably alleviates a fear because Michael Beale will probably join Gerrard at Aston Villa.
Yeah, I listened to quite a few podcasts with Michael Beale on them, and he seems a very knowledgeable guy, and he seems to take the training and all the practices that Rangers do. So I think Rangers fans will want to definitely keep a hold of him.
Yeah. Record against Moldova for Scotland. He played 3, won 2, drawn 1, lost 1. Goals 4 for us, and Moldova has scored 1. Scotland last played Moldova in September with London Dix's early goals enough to score a 1-0 win at Hampden. Regan, my predicted 11 for the weekend, Friday night, is Gordon. I'm going to go for a back three of McTominay, Hendry, and Tierney. I'm going to go for a midfield 5 of Patterson, McGregor, McGinn, Gilmore, and Robertson. And I'm going to go for the front 2 of Adams and Brown. Carl McGregor, I think he needs to come back in on Friday.
Yeah, I think it just shows how important he is to both Celtic and Scotland, David. So, yeah, expect McGregor to be back in.
I think this is for you, Regan, this next question. We're just going to get it up here. I like your pad pal. Are you using a green screen or have you broken John James's penthouse in St. Tropez?
No, I haven't. Thank you for that.
There we go. Matt McIver's coming in now saying, David, that is an utterly shameful record we have against such a mineral nation. This is Scotland, unfortunately. Currently 1 yellow card away from a ban, Regan, are Jack Hendry, Stephen O'Donnell, Andy Robertson, Nathan Patterson, John McGinn, Billy Gilmore, Kevin Nisbet, and Shea Adams. A lot of big players could be missing this Denmark game.
Yeah, but David, what we'd say to that is I don't really care if they get a yellow card against Moldova because if they get the 3 points, then the Denmark game doesn't mean much.
Mm-hmm. Do you look at this by saying we need to win on Friday and then Denmark is a free-for-all? Or do you look at this by saying win on Friday but continue to do the fantastic work that we've done already in that Monday night game, but priority first and foremost on Friday?
No, David, well, me being me, I've looked at the possible playoff routes, and I think Scotland will be hoping that Portugal beat Serbia and also Spain beat Ukraine, because then we open up to possibly play Ukraine or Serbia for a place at the World Cup.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. There's a good chance that this will be a tough, niggly match. How important is physicality and competitiveness in the midfield area, especially on Friday?
Yeah, I think it's very important. We always talk about in football that the midfield battle is very important. I don't think Friday will be any different.
Proactive, the big word, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, we just need to go about the job and be very professional what we do and try and do our best, because we know that if we play well, then we'll beat Moldova, no problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. As for the striker, you like Brown, but would you look at this by saying, does Brown need to hit the ground running, or would you give Brown a chance?
If if it was up to me, I would play Christie because he's been there on the bigger occasion for Scotland. But in terms of Steve Clarke, I think he'll start him. But I would probably play Brown for the Denmark game, where the game doesn't mean as much.
Yeah, just to clarify, Regan, Christie suspended for Friday.
Oh, is it? Well, I expect Brown to play.
Yeah, absolutely. The thing about Friday is be professional and the job is done. But we don't want to bottle it, and the first goal is vital, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's they always say in football that the first goal is very important. So I think it will be no different on Friday. David, I just want to ask you something. Do you know why Scotland are in Spain for a week before the game starts?
Oh, cause I noticed the Aberdeen Twitter account saying they were in Spain. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying, do you know the reasoning behind
I didn't know
why
the
we're in
reason. No,
Spain?
go on.
No, I don't know the reason. I'm just
All right,
wondering if
okay,
you know.
okay. It'd be interesting to know why. I mean, I don't think it might be a COVID related reason. Probably to boost logistics or travel requirements. Don't know. I'm assuming a lot of these things will be done internally. So if it boosts Scotland in terms of getting a good result on Friday through getting some sunny climates, the climates in sunny Spain, absolutely fantastic as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so much looking forward to it. I think we've got a national team to be proud of again, David, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Jacob Brown spoke to the Scotland national team social media with Sirens today, and he looked. The guy Jacob Brown looked very enthusiastic about the challenge ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I watched this interview with Lewis. I thought he came across really well. He spoke about his family being really excited as well. So I think it's a good opportunity for him to go there and show what he's all about.
Have you got a ticket for next Monday?
Yeah, I've got a ticket and I'll be there. So I'm looking forward to it.
Well, so you're just going to hope that it's a very good big 3 points, and then Monday you can just enjoy your night. Time for a party.
Yeah, I mean, if we get the job done on Friday, then I'll just be to go there for a party. So yeah, it'll be good.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. On to Scotland under 21s now. We've got 28 minutes left, but Scotland under 21s, they play Kazakhstan after Moldova Scotland at Paradise. 7:05 kickoff on Thursday evening. Sorry, Friday evening, beg your pardon, when they play Kazakhstan. And on Friday, I mean, no Aaron Hickey, who isn't injured but is requested to be rested. What do you think about that?
I don't know if it's maybe a bit of disrespect to the under 21s or it's a genuine reason, but I think he's a very, very good player, so it's surprising for that one, David.
Absolutely, because I mean, you look at this by saying he's a terrific young player, and he'll look at this by saying, okay, I don't want to be involved this time, but from a Scotland persuasion, you'd be looking at this down the line and going, right, he doesn't want to be involved in the Scotland setup, but he's got the future to be a Scotland right back. Absolutely.
Yeah, he definitely has. He's got so much potential, David.
Mm-hmm, yeah, and I mean, with regards to the players we've got at the moment, he probably fits in the system, which makes the whole situation a little bit more depressing than it is. I mean, a lot of the current first team players are of course went through on the 21s ranks, but I look at players such as Glenn Middleton in particular. And you need a player like Hickey in order not to link up with it, but a player where you can go and shallow balls and the likes of Middleton, and Middleton can go and do a bit of the hard work for you.
Yeah, I mean the other thing I would say, maybe does he think he's too good for the under 21s now, David, because he's playing over in Serie A?
If that's the case, you'd like to think there would be some sort of transparency or indeed communications happening between the Steve Clarke and under 21s managers. Maybe maybe Steve Clarke speak at the guys involved by saying, right, Hickey deserves to be up, or maybe Clarke having conversations by saying, right, Aaron, you're doing very well, but you're maybe 6 months away. You'd like to think there was some sort of internal conversation taking place.
Yeah, because he's a very good a fullback for Scotland and a hope that he'll be in the first team very, very soon, David.
Absolutely. With regards to Friday, it's very good that the game's getting held at Tannadice, so it'll be an opportunity to get a different crowd to the game.
Yeah, I mean, are you going to manage to be along, David?
Yeah, I'm heading along on Friday. I won't be in here, so I'm leaving Colin and Craig Lynch to go do their own thing.
Oh, that'll be good then, because I'll be able to get a match, see how the match is going from you, David. But yeah, I think it's a very good opportunity. I mean, obviously Scotland are sitting fourth in the group, so they need to get the 3 points.
Yep, definitely. I look at this by saying Scotland probably need a good 3 points on Friday, but alongside that, obviously the first team playing, it would be really good to get 6 points in total.
Yeah, I think it would be great for the nation to have a great Friday night, and people can enjoy the night and the pubs and the clubs in Scotland, and just have a good beer and enjoy the night.
Yeah. Now, a player I'm looking forward to seeing on Friday, hopefully, if he starts, is a player I know from my neck of the woods called Archie Mayor, he used to be at Aberdeen Football Club, but he's now at Norwich City. He's nowhere near the first team, I may add, but he has been on the bench for Norwich a few times, but just hasn't fitted in. But the goalkeeping flanks, we've got Kieran Slicker, Brian Kinnear, and Archie Mayor. 3 unknown goalkeepers when you look at it.
Yeah, I don't really know much about him, David. Do you know much about the guy you talked about from Aberdeen there? Speak to us a bit about him. What kind of player is he?
Yeah, Archie, I know him very well because he's from beside where my hometown is. So I know Archie very well. Me and him speak to each other on a regular basis. So I'm actually going to drop him a wee message to see how things are going and see if I can maybe meet up with him. Obviously, we can't go for a beer because he'll be busy doing his job, obviously. But I'm looking forward to seeing Archie on Friday and hopefully he can get a start, obviously. But I also look at this by saying Archie is a really good goalkeeper. He probably left Aberdeen because Joe Lewis was in really good form at the time at the Dons, and Archie moved on to go to Norwich, where he's going to be testing in a Premier League environment. And it was a very similar situation for Archie, if I'm going to be honest with you, because Archie wasn't really getting any first team opportunities at the time. I mean, he was still playing a lot of academy football. He is out loan at Lincoln City at this precise moment in time, who are in League One in England. And he, by all accounts, is doing very well for himself. And he was on the TV last year when he played for Kingsland Town against Portsmouth in the FA Cup. So he's had the exposure in terms of national TV coverage. So here's hoping that can do him in good stead for Friday. Friday is the first time he'll get called up to the Scotland under-21 squad. So here's hoping he can go and do himself very well indeed. But on defenders, the big one who'll be in the squad is Stephen Welsh, and he's been doing very well for Celtic.
Stephen Welsh is a very good player. He's played 34 times now for Celtic, so I think it's just adding to his experience for him. So yeah, I quite like Stephen Welsh as a defender. He's kind of I grew up watching Steve McManus, and hopefully Stephen Welsh can be a kind of Steve McManus kind of figure for Scotland and Celtic.
Yeah, Lewis Mayo, he's been doing very well. Partick Thistle. I'm looking forward to seeing how well he can do on Friday because I've been really impressed when I've watched Partick Thistle this year.
Yeah, I mean he was at Rangers and I think it was Dunfermline as well, was it, David? So
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So he's obviously got experience, and he'll be hoping to do well to put himself in the shop window for Steven Gerrard if he's still Rangers manager.
Yeah. There's also Thomas Clayton and Harrison Ashby. The good thing about this, I'm looking at this by saying there's a lot of players who are in the squad who are playing their trade in England at this precise moment in time. And the English academy setup is probably a step up in terms compared to the Scotland academy setup.
Yeah, and I think that's very important for us because it will be a very good breeding ground for the Scotland players to keep improving and improving. So I think it's very good news for the national team to move forward.
The midfield area is where we're strong. It's Lewis Fiorini, Scott High, Scott Banks, Josh Doig, Stephen Kelly, Elliot Anderson, Jack Burrows, and Ben Williamson. Josh Doig has been doing really well for Hibson. By all accounts, according to Ben Kinsella, when he was on the press conference last week, I don't know if the situation has turned any corners in the last week or so, but Josh Doig would be a really exciting proposition for the Scotland under-21s in the next week.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's a player that could go to the very, very top. I would quite like to see him at Celtic if I'm being biased, David, but I think he'll go down to the Premier League down in England, to be honest, because a very, very good player.
On Doig, do you think he's got a year or two to develop and then make the move to either Celtic or indeed England?
Yeah, I think he's got a lot of development, but I think he's very raw as well. I think obviously you spoke about Celtic there, and I think left back is a position that Celtic will be looking to strengthen because I'm not sure Greg Taylor or Scales are maybe as ready made as Josh Doig, so I think he could be a potential.
Yeah, a bit on loose Fiorini. He's at Manchester City just now, and he's out on loan alongside Archie Mayor at Lincoln City. For the moment, Fiorini is more than happy to learn his trade in the less verified environment of League One at Lincoln. And it's a second loan spell for the 19-year-old because he was at NAC Breda in Holland last year.
Yeah, I think it's important that these players go out and play, and I think obviously if he's been in Holland, he'll be educated very well there. So I think it's important that these players don't just sit on the bench and pick up their money. It's important that they play football and do very well at that because it means they've got more exposure for themselves as well.
Ben Williamson is a player I'm looking forward to seeing. I mean, he's a player that was out on loan at Abroad last season and a lot of very strong plaudits from his manager Dick Campbell and indeed any everybody that listened into the Red Days live stream. Obviously, Ewan Smith and Alan Fermer Innes did a fantastic job in the live stream last year. Ben Williamson is now at Livingston and he's a very good young midfield player.
Yeah, I've not. I'll need to be honest and say I've not seen much of him, but from what you're saying, he seems like a very good player. So hopefully, there's a bright future for him, and he can be in the Scotland national team in no time as well.
Yeah, up front we're really strong in that positions as well. Mark Gerrard, Stuart McKinstry, Adam Montgomery, Glenn Middleton, Adebayo Awokowa Mabudi, Dapo Mabudi. Sorry, I'm trying to be a bit precise there. Aaron Presley and Kai Kennedy. Adam Montgomery, how impressive have you been with him?
Yeah, very, very impressed. I didn't know he played high up the park because I was seen him playing left back for Celtic. So yeah, if he can play higher up, then yeah, I think he's going to be very, very good for Scotland as well.
Well, the SFA have got him down as a striker, but he's a utility player, isn't he?
Yeah, he's been very, very.
I'm saying he's a utility player.
Yeah, he's been very, very good for Celtic, David. So I think he's got a very big future ahead of him. I've been really impressed by the way he's gone about it because not a lot of people knew about him when he come back for Celtic in July, but he's turned into a very good player that Ange Postecoglou can speak to and say, "Are you able to play today?" And he seems like he's definitely up to the job of being a Celtic left back.
Yeah, absolutely. Glenn Middleton is a player I'm looking forward to seeing because I looked at his performances for St Johnstone. He's not a renowned goal scorer, but he'll do a lot of trickery. He'll do a lot of. He's not fear of taking on defenders basically.
No, yeah, and I think he's always been a player that's been very, very impressive to me. Because he obviously went to Edinburgh last year, but he went to St Johnstone as well. And when he went to St Johnstone, he scored that great goal in the cup final as well. The free kick, David. I don't know if you remember it.
I do, yeah.
Yeah,
It's a fantastic hit.
Yeah, I mean, he seems like a player that's just grown in confidence. And although he was at Rangers, I think from being at St Johnstone, that'll help him a lot because I spoke earlier in the show about young players just going to a club, and I think St Johnstone's suited them perfectly.
Now, this is where the $1 million question comes in a bit hickey, right? Because Calvin Ramsey is unavailable due to injury for the next 2 games. Hickey would be a walk into that Scotland team had he not pulled out.
Yeah, I think he would have. I think you need to question his desire to play for the under-21s, like I spoke earlier on the show, because that's the only thing I can think of. Because obviously he's playing Serie A, does he think that maybe the under-21s, he's been there for years and maybe he's not getting a chance for the first team?
Yeah, absolutely. There's probably going to be a few changes on Friday. Just to add, the team from the 1-1 draw against Turkey was Ross Sinclair in goals, Calvin Ramsey, Stephen Welsh, Lewis Mayo, Josh Doig, Ben Williamson, Stephen Kelly, Kai Kennedy, Adam Montgomery, Glenn Middleton, and James Scott. Regan, have you had the opportunity to watch Kai Kennedy?
Yeah, he's been very, very impressive. I think it was Dunfermline as well.
Yeah, he's
Yeah, I
been at
think he's
Dunfermline, been at Rafe, been at Cali. He's been about.
Yeah, he's been very, very impressive when I've seen him play. So I think he's got a very big future ahead of him.
Yeah, absolutely. And we can always rely on the bench. I mean, the likes of Harry Stone, he's done very well for himself at Hearts. You've also got Zach Rudden, Max Anderson. Max isn't in the squad this time around, but you've got a lot of young players there that aren't in the squad this time around, despite doing very well for the clubs, which could be a frustration.
Yeah, I mean, someone you spoke about there is Zach is it Zach Rudden? He
Yeah,
is doing very well at the Drags, and I think he's got a very good partnership with his front three at Partick Thistle. So yeah, he's been a very impressive player. When I watched Partick Thistle at New Douglas Park this season on BBC, and I thought it was very, very impressive that night when Partick Thistle won 6-1.
yeah. You look at Friday night's game, Regan, by saying Kazakhstan will probably be massive underdogs, but I look at this also by saying they're in a bad run of games in terms of they could beat 4-1 by Macedonia, they could beat 3-0 by Spain, and they could beat 3-2 by the Faroe Islands. So it's a case of the unknown, I think, but also alongside this, there's a lot of players that might look at this and catch the eye. I mean, there's a player here called Omir Tayev, if that's pronounced correctly, who scores goals, and he'll be a threat for Scotland on Friday evening. But thankfully, he's suspended because he was sent off in that last game, and he plays the forward for FC Tubal. But this is the thing: on Friday, there'll be a lot of players involved that you won't know a lot about.
No, but I think Scotland will do very well, and I'm hoping that we can get the 3 points. Because, David, when was the last time the under-21s qualified for a major tournament, do you know?
It'll be a while back now. I've sure got my numbers for you, but I'm not 100% sure on that one. But I'm doing my homework in Kazakhstan, and there's not a lot of standout players here. There's a lot of players that are basically going under the radar and playing in their home country or playing in other countries in the continent. There is a player that's playing the Europa League for Kaiser called Dim Muhammad Kashkin. So he's a player to look out for.
Yeah, thank you for that, David. I think that it'll be very interesting. I think Scotland will be hoping that it's a home win, because if we don't win that game, then I think we can wave goodbye to qualification, because even though you need to respect every opponent, I think it's a 3 points that Scotland will be looking to achieve at the end of the 90 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, ball to Anthony Austin, and he was man of the match for me on Sunday, no question about it.
Yeah, he was absolutely fantastic. I think it just shows how far he's come in the Celtic team, that he's such an important player now. David, do you not agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I say, he was man of the match on Sunday. He's been a very influential figure for Celtic in the last few games, and he's a mainstay in the Celtic side now, which you wouldn't have said a year ago. I mean, the Celtic way has changed dramatically over the space of 6 to 8 months, and Anthony Austin's been one of the players that stayed, believed in the philosophy, believed in Ange Postecoglou's system, and he's doing very well in Ange Postecoglou's way of thinking and the way that Ange Postecoglou likes to play his football, because he's a very forward-thinking manager.
Yeah, I mean, I think you need to give credit to Postecoglou in the way he's changed the whole mentality of players like Tony Ralston, and maybe players like Beaton, um, maybe I'm trying to think of other guys as well. But yeah, I think it just shows that if a manager comes in and shows you how to play football, then he's managed to do very well. I don't think Neil Lennon was maybe as he didn't coach the players as much as Postecoglou maybe did.
But you were noticing things on social media as well, Regan, where when it would be there wouldn't be a lot of coaching videos or indeed training session videos when Lennon was in charge. Maybe the odd few. With Postecoglou when he took over, there was a lot of videos you were noticing on social media about how he likes to press and how he likes to play attacking football.
Yeah, and I think it just shows how the whole Celtic support is really bought into Postecoglou and the way he likes to go about it. And I think that just is a credit to Postecoglou. And although people were slagging him last year, Strachan and John Kennedy as well, because obviously they've bought into it and they've seen what Postecoglou is trying to do.
Absolutely. Now, I spoke to Anthony Austin Sunday, and here's what he's got to say.
Delighted, to contribute to the team in a positive way. My job's to defend, but if I can help the team in any way in an attacking sense, then I'm happy to do so. So it's been something that the training ground I've been working on in terms of the final ball, and when I'm in that area, to take my time and to pick someone out. So I'm happy that I've been able to do that today. I'm loving every minute, like I've said before, and to sign the deal and to then just be able to focus on my football, like the away game, and then today it's off my mind now, and I'm happy, and I just want to get back to work like I've done, and I'm delighted with another win today and send all the travelling fans will be happy. Yeah, we're aware of that. We've conceded 2 goals, which we don't want to be doing. As a team and as a defensive unit, we'll analyse that and we'll get that right, but it's also important to focus on the positives, which is a lot right now, and we're all happy.
That's the thing, Regan. Anthony Austin is loving life at Celtic right now.
Yeah, I think he's just epitomised what Postecoglou has done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I mean, for this situation to work and for football players to thrive off doing very well, you need to support the manager, but most importantly, you need to support your teammates, and that's exactly what Austin's getting right now.
Yeah, and like I said, he's maybe helped the players that Ange Postecoglou's brought in, because he's brought in, was it 12 players, David?
Yeah, one player that I think he's given a mojo back to is Tom Rogic.
Yeah, I think it's the Australian way of doing it. I think he's really brought Rogic on. Like I said last week on the show, when I spoke to you, I said that Rogic was nearly away to, I think it was Saudi Arabia. So it just shows you that one manager can change that, and thank God from a Celtic point of view that Rogic didn't move to Saudi Arabia.
Absolutely. I mean, you looked at this by saying there wouldn't have been a suitable right back available had Ralston left.
No, because like I said,
you had a bit possibly, but apart from that, nobody from this country.
no, I totally agree with you, because like I said, the last week as well, I think Tony Ralston's really rose to the occasion and shown everyone what he can do, because it just shows you the story that he's done, that he's now a mainstay in this Celtic squad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. In terms of Sunday, were you impressed with Celtic?
Yeah, I thought they were really, really good. I thought 4-2 was really, really hard on them, because I thought they could have scored 6 or 7.
That's the thing with Celtic, they weren't ruthless enough, I thought.
No, I thought that the goalkeeper didn't really do himself justice. But I thought Celtic in general, I thought they could have had 6 or 7, like I say. So from Ange's point of view, he'll be looking to score more goals, even if he can be critical at this moment, because Celtic have won 6 of the last 7 games, and that 6th game that they didn't win was the 0-0 draw against Livingston.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And the thing about Celtic right now is they're still conceding goals. And they can acknowledge, the Celtic players acknowledge that. What do you think needs to change in the defensive setup?
I don't think Ange will change the way he plays, though, David, because you look at it from the way that he said at the start of the season, he spoke to a radio station and said that if you score 5, we'll score 6. So he's just looking to outscore teams, and I think that's the way that he plays. Like he said last week in the press conference, I don't celebrate with clean sheets. So he's basically saying that if we can outscore opponents, then that'll do him. And I think if you look at his Celtic teams at the moment, then you can't argue with that because they seem to be outscoring most teams. I mean, they scored 6 goals at home to Dundee against St Mirren as well. So, yeah, I think Celtic are looking very, very good. But in terms of the defensive point of view, I think Starfield's really done well the last few weeks. I don't know about you, David.
Yeah, totally. Kyogo and Jota, what a partnership.
Yeah, I mean, I spoke to you on the show last week about Kyogo not speaking English, but see, in terms of that, David, I think the language for those two is just pure football, and I think it's a joy to watch if you're of a Celtic persuasion or even in Scottish football. I would even say to you right now, I think Kyogo is the best player in Scotland by a country mile.
And he's got a translator, and he'll be a massive help right now.
Yeah, but the biggest translation is scoring goals with Jota. I mean, he's been sensational. I mean, you just need to look at the way that he was in Japan, then he went into isolation, then he came here for his first game at Tynecastle, and from then he's not really looked back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. But Ralston was delighted with Sunday. A little bit disappointed with seeing the goals, but overall he was content with how things developed at Dead's Park on Sunday.
Yeah, and why wouldn't it be? He's been absolutely brilliant for Celtic. I think Ange Postecoglou can really say to him that he's a main player for Celtic at the moment, and it's a credit to him.
Yeah, absolutely. And the challenge is now is relying on other defensive-minded players to be as consistent and deliver as high a standard as Ralston has been doing.
Yeah, I mean, I think Ralston's a real springboard for a success story at Celtic, and Postecoglou will be saying that to any member of his squad. He'll be saying, well, look at what Tony Ralston done. He wasn't a regular here, and now he's secured himself a new contract, and he's doing very well for us. So, yeah, I think he's doing fantastic, if you ask me, David.
And the thing is that Greg Taylor has enjoyed a good spell, but not been as consistent as Ralston.
No, I think Greg Taylor's a difficult one. I quite like his Freddie Mercury moustache, I must say. But I think he's a difficult one because he's been injured for a while and he's still managed to get this brand new contract at Celtic. So I find that a bit strange. Strange.
Ange Postecoglou's plan for the long term here.
Yeah, I know, David, but then I would say to you, has there been a game that you've watched Greg Taylor and you've went, wow, what a game he's had there? And I would
very seldom.
Yes, and I don't think that's a good thing if you're a Celtic left back and you have the majority of the ball at Celtic Park or Ibrox or Dundee United. So if you look at it from Greg Taylor's point of view, he's a decent left back, but if Celtic want to progress in European football, as Celtic fans want, because they've got 50 to 2,000 season ticket holders, and I think that's where they want to progress, I don't think Greg Taylor's the answer.
Absolutely. Thanks very much to everyone for tuning in tonight. Much appreciated. Obviously, we'll try and get this Twitter and Twitch debacle sorted out in due course. But thanks very much to everybody tuned in on Facebook and YouTube. I've been David Smith. Here's been Regan Stevenson. We're back on Thursday evening. We're a fantastic duo, aren't we, Regan?
David, I mean, it's always great to join you, and I'll see you again on Thursday. I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, top man, and thanks very much, everybody. Back tomorrow night. I don't know who's presenting and hosting tomorrow night. It might be our very own Colin Watt, but we'll need to see how things develop over the next 24 hours. So, from ourselves, thanks very much.